You ever have a night so strange, so out of this world, that it ends up changing everything you thought you knew? That's exactly what happened to me and my family in the dead of a Minnesota winter in. Yeah, I know how it sounds, but trust me, by the end you'll see what I mean. It started with the first real blizzard of the seasons now, piling up like the world was trying to bury us. Wind howling so loud you couldn't hear yourself think, and the trees around our old cabin groaning under the weight. Daniel, my husband, was adding logs to the fire, trying to keep the chill from creeping in, and I was cradling our 3-month-old daughter, Lily, humming her to sleep. Our place is about as far from town as you can get without living off-grid, and that's always suited us just fine. But that night, let's just say the woods felt different. Off. Right as Daniel zipped up to check the generator, everything outside went silent. Not the peaceful kind of silence that makes your skin crawl. I've lived in those woods all my life, and I know what that kind of quiet means. Predators. Something big. I was about to call Daniel back in when we heard this deep, desperate moan out of wolf. Not an owl, something way heavier. Then, bam, something slammed against the side of our cabin, hard enough to shake the walls and startle Lily awake. When I finally had the nerve to look out the window, I saw her, a massive mother bear, standing on her hind legs, paw against the wall, staring right at us. But she wasn't alone, 2 cubs shivering behind her, trying to stay out of the storm. Then another bear came out of the tree, smaller, limping, with her own cub trailing behind. Before I could even process, the first mother bear sat down in the snow, right on our doorstep, cubs huddled against her, just waiting. Not angry, not aggressive, just waiting. Now, I know what you're thinking, bears are dangerous, right? And you'd be right most days. But this wasn't most days. I felt it deep down, these bears weren't here to cause trouble. Lily started crying, the kind of wail only a baby can manage, and the big bear, she cocked her head, let out this soft, mournful sound, almost exactly like Lily's cry. That's when it hit me. These mothers had come to us for help. Daniel thought I'd lost my mind, maybe he was right. But then another gunshot cracked through the woods, closer this time, and both bears flinched, wrapping themselves around their cubs. Someone was hunting, and not by the rules. We argued, off course, we did, but finally, I convinced him. Not in the house, but the old, insulated shed out back. He'd lead them around, give them shelter, and I'd keep Lily safe inside. You have to picture it, Daniel, heart pounding, creeping around the house with 4 wild bears in tow, the snow coming down so hard it was almost blinding. And yet, somehow, those bears followed. No rushing, no growling, just desperate mothers trying to protect their young. I watched from the window, clutching Lily so tight I thought she'd squeak, while Daniel opened the shed and let them inside, leaving the door just cracked so they wouldn't feel trapped. Once it was done, I gathered up blankets, water, and some dried berries, ready to bring them to the shed. Daniel tried to stop me. I'd worked with wildlife before, sure, but never bears. Still, I saw something in their eyes, something almost human, and I couldn't just leave them hurting. That little cub was in bad, shoppy metal trap had torn up its paw, and its mother kept nudging it forward, pleading in her own way for help. I treated that cub, right there on the cold floor, my hands steady from years in animal rescue. The mother bear held her baby still while I dug out the metal and cleaned the wound. Not once did she threaten me, just watched, worried and hopeful. The trust between us was almost overwhelming, like some bridge had been built across an impossible gap. Meanwhile, the hunters kept coming. More gunshots, closer this time, and Daniel grabbed his rifle, not for the bears, but in case he had to stand his ground against the men stalking our woods. When the hunters finally showed up, angry and armed, Daniel met them outside, Lily and I waiting in the shed with the bears. The standoff was tense, accusations flying, a fist fight breaking out, one of them threatening that if those bears ever hurt someone, it'd be on us. But Daniel didn't back down, and eventually the men retreated, but not before vowing they'd be back. As things calmed, something extraordinary happened. The big mother bear nudged the water container I'd brought right toward Daniel like a thank you. After everything, she still wanted us to know she understood, and she was grateful. That night, as the storm eased and the snow glittered under the moonlight, I realized we'd done something we could never take back. We'd become part of their story, and they, ours. At dawn, I checked the shed empty except for a mess of blankets, and on the wall, a series of marks. 5 lines, a circle, and a crude drawing of cabin. A map. The bears had left us a message, pointing the way to an old quarry, a perfect den for hibernating, now threatened by the hunters. And I knew, as surely as I'd ever known anything, that they were asking for one last act of help. With Lily dropped off safe at a neighbor's, Daniel and I followed the map, arriving just ahead of a caravan of hunters. There, deep in a quarry, we found not just our 4 bears, but an entire family group, 5 mother bears and their cubs. The hunters were closing in, so we did the only thing that made sense. We led the bears on a journey through the woods, guiding them toward the nature preserve, all the while dodging hunters and making sure that injured cub kept up. The escape wasn't easy. Deep snow, a rushing river, engines roaring behind us, but the bears trusted us, and we trusted them right back. At the preserve, just as the hunters caught up, the rangers arrived, sirens blaring. After hearing our story and seeing the photos and the map the bears had left, the rangers agreed to protect the bears, promising to keep the hunters out. A few weeks later, with winter fading, the lead mother bursage, as the researchers would later call her, returned to the edge of our yard, cubs in tow, healthy and safe. It wasn't just a visit, it was a message. We're okay. We remember. From there, things snowballed. Researchers came to study the bears, documenting behavior no one had ever seen: cooperation, communication, even a kind of written language scratched into bark and snow. The story spread news, scientists, tourists, everyone wanted a piece of the miracle. But it was never about the headlines. For us, it was about the connection, the trust. Eventually, the university built a research center on the edge of our property, carefully, respectfully, under our watchful eye. The bears drew us maps, shared their favorite places, even added new symbols for the buildings we constructed. It was a partnership, a friendship that crossed the line between human and animal. One last thing I'll never forget: the day Sage stood tall at the edge of the woods, placed her paw over her heart, and gazed straight at me. A thank you, a blessing, maybe even a promise that we'd always be part of each other's worlds. I held Lily close and whispered, "Remember this. Remember that sometimes the most important voices are the ones we've never been taught to hear." So, tell me, what would you have done? Would you have opened your door or closed it tight? Is there a limit to compassion? Or are we all just mothers and fathers, trying to protect what we love in a world that doesn't always make sense? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about it.